6 years after its last entry, the Mafia series is back with a new location, a new time period, and even a new development team. So, is it worth it? Let's find out. The 1960s, a time of peace, love, and understanding. Mafia 3 paints a very different picture of the decade, with open racism, widespread corruption, and brutal street violence. It's a game that eviscerates nostalgia, leaving only the cold, painful issues of the day. Taking place in 1968, decorated Special Forces soldier Lincoln Clay has just returned home from Vietnam. Uncertain of his future, he quickly resumes working for his adopted father, before attracting the eye of the powerful Italian Mafia. After turning down a generous offer from the Marcano organization, the mob murders his entire family, leaving Lincoln for dead. But by a miracle, he survives, and immediately begins working on avenging his fallen friends. Mafia 3's gameplay is centered around a series of very simple and uneventful missions. To take down the mob, Lincoln will need to go after their sources of income. Each criminal racket is given a cash value, tasking Lincoln to destroy contraband, interrogate knowledgeable mobsters, and murder important figures. Once their resources have dwindled down to zero, a final mission is unlocked to take on the Capo. There are brief moments of car and boat combat, which strangely enough control the same, but vehicles are mostly used to drive to the next location without incident. If that sounds dry and repetitive, it's because it is. Mafia 3 unfortunately lacks structural diversity. The industries and final bosses are flat out interchangeable. At some points, I completely forgot what black market I was taking over. There's just nothing recognizable from one to the next, which is also a problem in the vehicle-based side missions. Drive over there, get the thing, bring it back, do it again. But its saving grace comes from its sublime gunplay. Splattering brains and ripping abdomens is beautifully rendered in high-impact animations. Precise pistols, powerful rifles, shotguns, and machine guns cruelly cut down those in your path, with Molotov cocktails and grenades taking the overkill to a new high. Safely ducking from incoming bullets before extracting swift, bloody revenge is grotesquely satisfying. What's interesting about Mafia 3's generic objectives are the alternative methods of approach. As the story progresses, Lincoln will gain access to portable banks and weapon dealers, expanding his destructive arsenal and abilities, as well as hitmen that aid in battle. Many of these are unlocked by doing favors for friendly syndicates and dividing the obtained markets fairly. One of my personal favorites are the silenced pistols and machine guns, allowing for stealthy invasions and disturbingly effective knife takedowns. Still, the majority of Mafia 3's campaign is a monotonous series of identical missions, and that's a shame, because the all-too-rare special story events highlight an unreached potential. Trudging through a spooky carnival at night and blasting back security in a bank heist make breaking down rackets all the more dull. Frankly, it's strange how little development is given to most capos, as there are a wealth of story beats and cutscenes for the rest of the ensemble, and these scenes are very well directed and performed. The extra attention given to facial reactions emphasizes the relationships and personalities of the characters. Radio commercials and news broadcasts intermix real-world events of the time with Lincoln's recent activities, creating a believable, though more action-driven world. And the soundtrack cleverly mixes black pop artists with white rock bands, such as The Supremes' You Keep Me Hanging On and Vanilla Fudge's cover of the exact same song. Race and racism is a constant theme in Mafia 3, with plenty of racial and ethnic slurs peppered throughout. What's fascinating is Lincoln Clay's indifference towards the civil rights movement. While many other characters of all ethnic backgrounds comment on prejudice, Lincoln is solely focused on murdering the Marcano family. Even when faced against a representation of the KKK, Clay simply doles out vengeance as he did before. Race is rarely a topic in video games, and fortunately Mafia 3's smart dialogue and documentary-style cutscenes give a proper context to the attitudes of the era, though it's hard to take its story seriously when there are so many distracting visual hiccups. New Bordeaux, Louisiana is a fairly empty open world from a gameplay standpoint, but its faithful design of every district and wilderness environment is impressively realistic. That is, until time and weather conditions transform locations into an unrecognizable series of objects. At its best, Mafia 3 looks fantastic, with weighty models, careful lighting, and authentic architecture. But more often than not, the strange use of brightness ruins the experience, with areas either looking too dark or washed out to sea. During sunrises and twilights, the entire screen takes on a bizarre orange glow. It's shockingly problematic. So, is it worth it? Yes. Mafia 3 is an odd pairing of compelling characters and story with junk food gameplay, and while the gun mechanics and engaging narrative make it worth experiencing, the awkward visuals and limited activities are undeniably detrimental. But at its core, Mafia 3 is still a darn fun third-person shooter. Mafia 3 is currently available on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC for $60. If you've had a chance to play it, let me know what you thought, and if you haven't, let me know if you plan on picking it up. My name is Colin and I'll see you in the next video.